This summer is almost over and things are beginning to rev up again for the fall. Students and teachers will be heading back to school. People will soon be closing their cottages for the season, and the days of soaking up the sun will soon be over. Thankfully, one of the fantastic things that the beginning of fall season means is that the concert season is going to be kicking into high gear. For us in Winnipeg, one of the city's most vital musical institutions will be kicking off its 2024-25 season on September the 15th. Winnipeg's GroundSwell starts out the season with a concert called Sustenance. This is the first of 4 terrific concerts that GroundSwell will be presenting as part of their live series of concerts for this season. The live concerts are just one part of a trilogy of seasonal elements that GroundSwell offers. There's also a linked and learn portion to the season as well, all combining to present and educate audiences with the best in contemporary music. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio to talk about GSwell's 2024-25 season, I am joined by David Litke, who is artistic coordinator for GroundSwell. Hey, David, nice to have you here.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
Before we get to the GroundSwell season, I want to ask, when did you get the job as artistic coordinator for GroundSwell? And can you talk about what role you play in GroundSwell? And the job of running the organization is actually it's going to be done by 2 people, right, from now on?
Right, yeah. So just over the summer, Heather Lewis and I have been in training, taking over from David Scott. We're sort of dividing what he does into the 2 of us. So I'll be the artistic coordinator, and basically kind of liaising with performers and the artistic directors and curators of each concert. We're really excited about the upcoming season.
And David Scott, longtime artistic director for GroundSwell, he's just retiring. It's just that simple, yeah.
Yeah.
After a very illustrious career. When did the planning for this 2024-25 season start, and how long has GroundSwell been working on it and putting it together?
Oh, well, GroundSwell does prepare things quite in advance. So, yeah, I think a lot of these concerts have been working sort of behind the scenes for a couple of years now. I know particularly our first concert is an idea born out of the pandemic. That sort of started around 2020, the ideas for this. So, there's a kind of long time coming for some of these ideas and this music.
So you've mentioned the first concert. It's on September the 15th at St. Andrews River Heights United Church. It's going to be curated by Winnipeg violinist Elation Pauls, and it's called Sustenance. She's going to be joined by 2 fabulous pianists on that concert, David Braid and Suresh Karajan. What can you tell us about that concert?
So I think it will be it'll be a fantastic concert. Like you said, Elation Pauls is the curator of the concert, and so she'll be playing violin as well as these 2 pianists. It's essentially going to be a concert that supports her release of her debut album coming out very soon. So a lot of primarily the repertoire that we're going to hear is stuff that's going to be on that album. It'll be a really interesting mix of pieces. I think a number of the composers on the album and the concert are kind of genre-bending sorts of composers. So we have Carmen Braden, who's a composer from Yellowknife, and she does folk songs and popular styles as well as classical music. And there's also Chris Dirksen, who's an Indigenous and Mennonite cellist and composer from Northern Alberta.
Her stuff's fantastic. Yeah, we played here on the station.
So someone like David Braid is also kind of a genre jumping, sometimes jazz, sometimes classical, and fusion of the 2. I think it will be interesting stylistically from that perspective.
Yeah, I think last year I had the opportunity. Well, David Braid, he was here for GroundSwell. I think it was last year. He's a bit of a genius. I mean, he really does it all, as is Serge Karajan. He's a fantastic pianist. One of the things I was reading about in the brochure is apparently there's going to be 5 Manitoba premieres and 1 world premiere on that concert as well. Is that right?
Yeah. So lots of new music, lots of stuff that we haven't heard before, and lots of stuff that's sort of Elation's instigation and coming out of her this idea of a theme of sustenance. Of she's sort of thinking about in the pandemic when everything was sort of deprived from us, particularly artistic connections and artistic community. Looking at what is it that can kind of keep us going in those hard times. So that's the kind of theme and the thread that ties the concert together.
Sounds just fantastic. So that is Elation Paul's Sustenance concert. I think that concert is happening on September the 15th. Then on November 4th at the Mary Richardson Art Gallery at the WAG Kamiok, GroundSwell is welcoming to Winnipeg the amazing Stenhammar Quartet. I believe they're from Sweden. The name of the concert is called Sketches of a Shifting Landscapes. What can you tell us about this concert, and what can people expect from it?
I think the primary focus of the concert is the piece by Orion Sandred called Sketches of Shifting Landscapes. So this piece was a commission from the Guggenheim Memorial Foundation in New York. And the piece is, Orion says, it's a kind of reflection of the time in which we live, where AI and the emergence of AI in all genres or all areas of our lives, essentially, has really become prevalent. So his piece uses is a piece for string quartet and live electronics and interactive electronics. So the piece lets AI algorithms design the electronic part live during the concert.
Oh wow!
We actually have a computer listening to what the string players are playing, and essentially kind of deciding how to respond to that and how to create something in the electronics in real time. It'll be a really, I think, thought-provoking and interesting and quite a unique type of piece and something to. I think it might be a surprise to everybody what actually happens, and to a certain extent, a bit of an experiment in that way.
And there's a bit of chance, yeah. The concert is curated by Orion Sandred and Gordon Fitzell, both faculty members, both composition teachers at the University of Manitoba, and apparently Gord is having his string quartet performed on this concert as well. Is that right?
Yeah. So Gordon Fitzell has also has composed a string quartet for the Stenhammar String Quartet, and I believe last I heard he was just putting the finishing touches on it this summer. So it'll be really interesting.
Have you had an opportunity to talk to him about it? And it's called Sleight of Hand. If I got that right?
Sleight of Hand. Yeah. No, I haven't really heard anything about the details of it because it's still an ink wet work. It's still brand new. So. I'm really interested to hear that.
And for Classic 107 listeners, the Stenhammar Quartet are great. We've got a couple of their recordings in our system, and they're a fabulous quartet. And one of the other interesting things about that concert is there's going to be works included by the Inuk artist Tanya Tagak and the Cree Mennonite composer Chris Dirksen, another Chris Dirksen piece. Have you heard these pieces, or do you know anything about them?
I have not yet, no.
So it'll be interesting to see what that sounds like.
Yeah, for sure.
So that is Sketches of a Shifting Landscape with the Stenhammar Quartet. That concert again is happening on November the 4th. Then on February the 11th, 2025 at Westworth United Church, GroundSwell is putting on a concert called Knee Deep in the Clouds. And this is a tribute to Diana McIntosh. For those unfamiliar, can you talk a little bit about Diana and her importance to the formation of GroundSwell?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, unfortunately, I never had the chance to meet Diana. I came to Winnipeg really just a few years ago. I had the opportunity to see her perform one time, but from talking to lots of people around here and looking through her catalog and everything, yeah, I think she's a fascinating composer and definitely a core component of the Winnipeg new music world. She was one of the founding members of GroundSwell, and yeah, stayed active in GroundSwell just until after the 2019-2020 season. So yeah, and she passed away in 2022. So was just very highly dedicated to new music and to remaining active in the scene.
Yeah, and a remarkable personality. I met her just before she died. She's a wonderful personality and a really great composer. The concert is curated by pianist Lucienne Cardassi, who is a friend of Diana's. Apparently, from what I understand, they met in Banff. And the concert is going to feature music for flute and percussion as well as solo piano. Can you talk about who the performers are for that concert?
Sure. Yeah, so Lucienne Cardassi is the kind of main performer as a pianist. Yeah, so she's a Banff-based pianist. There'll also be music for percussion done by Ben Reimer and flute by Laurel Ridd as well. Both two very well-established performers around Winnipeg in particular. But yeah, Lucienne was able to study Diana's archival materials and so really got to know all of the ins and outs of Diana's music. Actually, the title "Knee Deep in Clouds" was a discarded title that Cardassi had found by going through her archival sketches and that sort of thing. So yeah, kind of a nice idea, I think, to draw that title out from where it may have been lost, but yeah, we kind of liked that. Everybody in GroundSwell liked this title, so.
It's a concert that I'm super excited about because one of the things about her compositions is she was always exploring sounds and different textures you can get, and there's a myriad of textures that you can get from flute and percussion. I mean, the possibilities are almost endless. It's going to be a great concert.
Well, and just I think Diana's she's described as just a fearless and sort of vastly creative and quirky. Yeah. So always having, like there's this one piece that will be played is called ABACADA.
Yes.
For toy piano and vocal sounds, and so yeah, the inclusion of these vocal sounds is has such a it broadens the sound world and to such a great degree, and also it's music that doesn't take itself too seriously. It has a real kind of playfulness and fun to it. I think can be really refreshing.
Yeah, I was listening to that ABACAD. Is it ADI?
Right. Well, yeah, like it's written out as something that a title that's kind of hard to decipher from the way it's written.
Yeah.
But I think it just, when you pronounce it, it's just the letters ABACADA.
Okay, I didn't get it. Anyway, I listened to it this morning when I was prepping for the interview, and the piece it's a trip. It's a piece for toy piano and vocal sound. So yeah, and it sounds super great. It's going to be a wonderful concert. So that is Knee Deep in the Clouds, a tribute to Diana McIntosh. Again, that concert is happening on February the 11th, 2025. The final concert of the season is called North South and takes place on March 20th at the Wagkamiok, and it's curated by Jim Hiscott, longtime member of GroundSwell and wonderful composer. This concert combines the art at the Kamiok, specifically the Inuit exhibit Inuit Sanagangit, Art Across Time, and he's encouraging people who take part in the concert to come by early and have a look at the art. It sounds super interesting. What can you tell us about this show?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's immediately striking is this kind of unique presentation of a concert where you're, being able to hear the music of the North, music from by Inuit composers, and hearing that alongside this, fantastic collection of Inuit art. So yeah, we'll be hearing some throat songs by Nikki Komaksutisak and her family. Nikki is an Inuk woman from Chesterfield Inlet, Nunavut. And so, yeah, that will be, I think, a fascinating thing to be able to hear this very traditional throat singing in that context of the art gallery.
Yeah, for me, as far as I'm concerned, seeing that is just worth the price of admission. I was watching some videos of Nikki again this morning when I was prepping for the interview, and she is great, and she sings along with her daughters, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think she's a very experienced throat singer and a teacher of Inuit history and culture, and yeah, she works with helping people when they want to move from the north to Winnipeg to get established in Winnipeg. So this real kind of north-south connection, I think, is very much what she's all about. We'll also be hearing music for violas and percussion. So these will be played by Melody McIver, also Jennifer Thiessen and Ben Reimer. Yeah, so pieces by Melody will be included. I suppose this is, the title North-South is, I suppose it's all relative, right? Because, it's the first time I've ever heard Winnipeg referred to as South.
That's right. Everything is relative, yeah. And again, for our listeners, Melody McIver, they're a composition teacher at the University of Manitoba, right? And she does Inuit music studies as well. Is that right? Or Indigenous music studies?
Yeah, they're a violist and assistant professor of Indigenous music at the Desautels Faculty of Music at U of M.
So Melody and Jen will be playing violas, and Ben Reimer will be doing some percussion. And they're playing music of Jim as well, right? Jim Hiscott is a curator, and they're going to be doing some of his music. Do you know anything about the piece that they're going to play by him?
I mean, I think it's still all in the works to a certain extent. So yeah, I think it will probably be kind of coming out of a collaboration and as they kind of work together to develop the pieces.
It's like I say, it is next year, so a lot can happen between now and March 20th when the concert is. So, David, those are the 4 live concerts that GroundSwell is offering this year. I was on the linked tab on the GroundSwell website, and it's great. You can see concerts that took place last season. Can you talk about the linked portion of GroundSwell a bit?
Yeah. So in if you go onto the GroundSwell website, the linked tab will show you well, first of all, just the replays of concerts from the past season. So in case you missed anything, but there are also some curator conversations. So to get a little bit more of an in-depth exploration of what the curator was thinking and some background on the pieces. These are videos of our president, Tori Sparks, interviewing the concert curators and sometimes performers as well. So a little bit more depth there.
And again, for our listeners, it's not just about seeing the performances, like seeing the performers play, but with all the GroundSwell videos, there's very much a visual element to the shows as well. So you're not only hearing the music, but you're also seeing some really great visual effects on some of the concerts as well, right?
Sure. Yeah, and some of the pieces do have a live video component as well. That yeah, definitely worth checking out.
You can take in. So that's the links, and we've got the live parts covered. Then there's the third element, which is the learn portion. What kind of educational initiatives is GroundSwell doing and offering this year?
Well, there is a whole list of things that we have in the works, and one of the things that was quite successful we found last year was a collaboration with high school students, where yeah, it was sort of facilitated that high school students would be able to compose their own piece and then perform it in as part of one of the GroundSwell concerts of last year. So I believe that there's something like that that's in the works this year as well. Still lots of details to be confirmed, but yeah, it's one of the main things that GroundSwell wants to do is to have this kind of outreach, education and outreach component, so that we're reaching demographics that aren't necessarily used to going to new music concerts. They're sort of younger people, high school students, that sort of thing.
Are the Suzu Ends walks part of the learned part of GroundSwell as well?
Yeah.
That she's offering?
Yeah. So, and there will be some of these sound walks that we're planning for this upcoming year. The ones that will be in concerts where it's not going to be -40 out.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that people are more likely to want to walk around and listen to sound. Yeah, so there's those that are going to happen as well.
This sounds again like another fantastic season. This has been really great talking about the 2024-25 GroundSwell season. Where can people go to find out more details about GroundSwell and all the wonderful things that the organization is offering?
Well, definitely the GroundSwell website is the place to look. Yeah, there you can also subscribe to our newsletter that will give you lots of information and reminders about concert dates and upcoming events. So definitely look for that at the GroundSwell website.
Perfect. David, this has just been fantastic talking about this upcoming season. Thanks so much for taking the time to stop by our Classic 107 studio and talk to me today. This has just been wonderful. The 2024-25 season sounds fantastic.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having us.